A young man that has basically disrupted the space of how Egyptians buy cars.
I was never an A student in university, or actually a C student in university. At that point in time, I said to myself, look, my dream job is to become the Central Bank of Egypt governor.
And obviously you brought our friend at DPI.
Yeah. The global market liquidity shifted completely, and that shifted the perspective of companies as well. So what we even had at that point in time as a growth plan or how we were going to spend our money completely shifted when that happened. A lot of people will call it luck, a lot of people will call it belief, a lot of people will call it whatever they will call it, but for me it was that kind of path that took me, that brought me till here. Are you really sure that you really want to take a decision of starting a new company when you're expecting a daughter or a son at that point in time in a couple of months? And I said yes. If I don't do it now, it's never going to happen.
Welcome in the Valley. I'm your host today, and my name is Ibrahim Sanya. We have an amazing show today, but before that, a gentle reminder: press that subscribe button, join the community of funders and founders, changing sports, tech, entertainment, and fashion from Africa to the rest of the world, and never miss a thing. Enjoy the show.
Welcome to In the Valley. My name is Ibrahim Sanya. If you're looking for ambitious entrepreneurs changing the face of Africa, its narrative in terms of innovation, technology, and creative industry, you have come to the right place. Remember to subscribe, like, share. Today we have a spectacular guest, the one taking Egypt to places. A young man that has basically disrupted the space of technology, especially in terms of how Egyptians buy cars. He brought technology to their palm, and today they buy, they sell, and the way they consume their car has transformed.
Yeah.
Omar,
Ibrahim,
so great to have you here.
same here, same here.
The fantastic part about you being a guest is you also are a portfolio company of Sylndr Plus.
Yes.
So we could not be more proud to have you in the studio and to hear your story.
Thank you, thank you.
And
It's a great
to-
pleasure.
The pleasure and honor is ours. To start, forget that your name is Omar, forget that you're Egyptian, forget that you run a startup. If you had to describe yourself using one word, one verb, one image, or an adjective, what would that be and why?
One, I think it would be, I think a father, so that's one. It's something that I recently came across, I think almost 3.5 years now, so it's something that I really do enjoy.
Father.
Yeah.
Beautiful.
Yeah, the other one I think would be more of an unsettler, if that's really a verb or a word in this
So a
sense.
disruptor or a...
Actually, I've never been I've never been in the thought of not having disruption at the core of what I'm actually trying to do. But if I reflect on my personality, I really don't settle for anything that I don't. I always know there's better. There's something good to do. There is even better quality, better things to deliver. There's definitely something better to do. So it's very difficult for me to settle for
what's currently
on the plate. No, I always seek more. That's definitely something.
Okay. No, that's beautiful, and that may explain your trajectory, because you did start central bank, and then a couple of banks here, then a platform that was in technology.
Yeah.
That's in similar space to an extent.
Yeah.
And then you took this. So why don't you take us through that journey?
Actually, yeah, it would be really funny if I can say that this journey was ever in my mind, that's how it's going to flow. But I graduated from the university. Initially, I was an engineer, and then decided no, that's not for me. I'd rather do economics and finance. So changed my major, did economics and finance, and then during my time at the Central Bank of Egypt during my time at the university, if you ask me at that point in time, because I really became really attached to economics, especially macroeconomics. I was never an A student in university, or actually a C student in university. But whenever you give me an economics book, I would read that book till the end. And I really enjoyed economics. And at that point in time, I said to myself, look, my dream job is to become the Central Bank of Egypt governor. That was my dream job at that point in time. And this is why I was really adamant at that point in time that I was going to finish school. I'm going to go to the central bank. Gladly slow. That's exactly what I did. I joined the central bank. I spent there a year and a half. It was a pure, call it by luck, destiny, belief, God, whatever you want, is that after 1 year and a half, they were not hiring at that point in time. So I spent it as an intern. I was really learning a lot because I was in the team who was managing the reserves. So a lot of economics, a lot of global market, listening to Bernanke, the Fed, Mario Draghi at that point in time. So getting into a lot of economists. So I really wanted to continue with them, but they weren't hiring at that point in time. So after a year and a half, I said, look, that's enough for me. I have to cut my losses and start looking for a paying job. And at that point in time, I asked, what are the good jobs in the market? So as a friend told me, you can get into an auditing firm in the deals or advisory team, or you can do investment banking. So actually, I applied on both. Applied for, at that point in time, was PwC, and then I applied as an EFGMS as an investment bank. I got the same two offers on the same day. PwC was a full-time job. EFG was a 6-month internship. And then if I'm good, they're going to take. At that point in time I was doing actually 1 year and a half of internship at the central bank. Am I going to really start doing another 6 months of internship? And I said, yes, it's the better job. I'll do it. I can prove myself. And then EFG was a 5-6 years journey. I think it was the most important journey in my professional career, because it shaped a lot of what I would say today are my core values. It shaped a lot of the values that are important for you to learn and develop on the professional side. So extremely high quality of deliverables. When you're a banker, you're very meticulous, attention to details. You're presenting your slides to a CEO of a company. You cannot afford to have a single digit that is not accurate. Everything needs to be neat and all of that. Working 14, 15 hours a day, that was the norm, to not spending any weekend. So it really shaped my perspective of work. And that was work, basically working through Fridays and Saturdays, doing all-nighters every week. So that was the norm. And then after a couple of years in EFG, I actually started looking. I wasn't really bored, but I really wanted to learn something new, or learn something more. And actually at that point in time, because when you're a banker, you spend a lot of time with lawyers. So drafting a lot of agreements, going through shareholders agreement, SPAs, underwriting agreements and all of that. And I was really into law. So I started doing my LLM in the University of London. Didn't get the chance to finish that, but it was a start. So English law, contracts law, reading through all of that. And then just before COVID, a couple of months before COVID, got a call from a friend, Omar El Defrawy, who's now a co-founder in Sylndr. He called me, Omar, I just sat on the board of Al-Menus. They're looking for a CFO. Would you be interested? I said, yes, why not? So I went, sat with the CEO, Amir Alem, at that point in time. We had a conversation. Really enjoyed the guy.
He's the founder.
He was the founder, yeah.
He's the one that just left.
Yes, exactly. And at that point in time, it was a very interesting opportunity because I told him, look, if you're looking for the CFO kind of FP&A budgeting and all of that, that's not me. If you're looking for someone to come in as a partner and help and look at everything from a financial perspective, that's really me. Spent 1 year and a half. It was a great learning experience for me. It was a crash course into technology because I didn't know anything about technology, growth, customer acquisition, LTV, CAC, cohorts, and all of these VC kind of terminologies, cap table. So that was a very good intro. So spent 1 year and a half, and then after doing 1 year and a half, I said, look, I think it's the time for me to think of something else. The day that I decided to resign, the day that I knew that I would be a father in a couple of months. So at that point in time, are you really sure that you really want to take a decision of starting a new company when you're expecting a daughter or a son at that point in time in a couple of months? And I said, yes, if I don't do it now, it's never going to happen. That's it. This is how Sylndr actually started back in October of 2021, November of 2021. So if I look at that journey, it's a lot of it is luck, to be completely honest. Is that being at the right time, at the right place, doors that open or doors that certainly close at that point in time that would let you think or shift your mentality to something else. And then it ends up actually being a better decision or a better path or a better flow for you as a human being to develop. So a lot of people will call it luck, a lot of people will call it belief, a lot of people will call it whatever they would call it. But for me, it was that kind of path that took me, that brought me till here.
No, that's most fascinating because the story resonates because I started my career at Merrill Lynch, so investment banking. So when you're talking about those years, it spoke. But also I worked at the IMF, so very much an experience similar to a central banker to an extent, although the two are different. But it's the transition you went through, I definitely can relate. And obviously, seeing you divert from established traditional institution to something completely
unestablished.
So that transition is also common territory. And obviously, when you're able to go from one to another, going pretty much from night to day or day to night, it requires a lot of courage, but also lots of ability to borrow from the other life and adaptability as you craft. Now, obviously, your new life, congratulations on the new raise.
Thank you.
So for us, obviously, starting the investment with you as an angel back then, and now to see, I think there's been probably 2 or 3 rounds since, 2 more.
Yeah, that's our second round. So we had our first seed round back in 2022.
2022. So that's when we came in.
Yes.
The big one.
Yeah.
Full 17.
15. Yeah, 15.7. Yeah.
And obviously you brought our friend at DPI.
Yeah.
From N Club. So tell me about how that came about, because obviously you had already started encompassing some of the local players beyond angels. A few institutions from Egypt had come in.
Yeah.
And now you're bringing an institution outside Egypt and then a few. So how was that transition from basically getting your story to resonate from the local market where they can understand what you were changing to actually now onboard international parties to basically help you expand across beyond Cairo and then, I suspect, beyond Egypt soon?
Actually, I think it's important to understand the different stages of a company and the kind of investors that you're going to tap into different stages, and what kind of and what are the key parameters that different type of investors will be looking at. So I think when we started our first round, it was primarily angel investors and VCs, and even at that point in time, so 2022. The fundraising perspective or the fundraising environment was completely different from today. There was capital everywhere. Valuation was skyrockets at that point in time. So everyone was like, there was a complete FOMO in investors. Whenever there's a good story, everyone wants to put money in. But a couple of months after that, the global market liquidity shifted completely, and that shifted the perspective of companies as well. So what we even had at that point in time as a growth plan, or how we're going to spend our money and when can we raise again, and all of that completely shifted when that happened right away. I think, honestly, I've always been fond of DPI. because as an investment banker, you would hear of DPI, you would meet the DPI team. It's one of the biggest institutions that invest in Africa.
They're the one that introduced us.
Yeah, exactly. The team at that point in time. So I think one of the biggest investors in Africa. They're one of the strongest PEs that have been investing in Egypt with very successful companies as well. So coming from the banking background at that point in time, you know that DPI is definitely one of the investors that you would love to have on your cap table after you reach a certain point in time. So that's definitely one. And then the second part is understanding the shareholder creation, value creation from the investor standpoint, and understanding what are the most important factors and parameters inside the business that would result into proper value creation in order for investors to seek that kind of investment. And that perspective is different from VCs to PE. While in reality, it has the same core inside. Although the world has shifted from PE and EBITDA multiples to GMV and revenue multiples, I think
the other one will come back.
I think at the core of that is that a company valuation comes from its ability to generate free cash flow. And if you look at the core of that, if you think of a business in that way, is that regardless whether I'm in P&L profitability, creating certain margins, all of that, is that you don't value a company on a single statement. A financial statement has 3 statements: an income statement and a balance sheet and a cash flow. These impact your free cash flow. So you need to understand that perspective in order to understand how every single decision impacts that, regardless whether you're a VC, PE, regardless of the name. That's the core of shareholder creation. And that was a big part of the mindset when you're looking to build a business, is understanding how would that play out. Is that if I'm building a company with proper economics, how does my working capital cycle look at? Will that require significant capex to invest? Will that impact my profitability? And when you look at that kind of image, it gives you the understanding, yes, this is something that investors are going to appreciate, or this is something that investors are not going to appreciate. So maneuvering between that and understanding how to make sure that the business strategy, the verticals that you're building, how you're integrating your business and your story, and whether would that eventually yield into a better free cash flow generation or not. I think that has been crucial for us to kind of make sure that the likes of DPI, who are now into the VC emerging into PE mentality, would really appreciate and understand that.
Superb. And the other thing I would suspect is one of the attractive piece that attracted us as an investor, and them and Algebra than others, ought to be your ability to be a platform that intersect between mobility, which is fundamentally still a hard asset that commands a value that's somewhat defensive.
Yeah.
Be also an e-commerce platform, but at the same time having an ability to entertain some fintech features.
Yeah.
Why don't you elaborate a bit on that tri-dimension of your platform?
Yeah, actually, this is always what I say, is that the mobility is built on top of 3 building blocks, and this is something actually that became very clear. One of our investors are from Tokyo, so I did a trip, a year and a half ago. So I actually met a couple of investors back in Japan, and then in Tokyo they have big mobility companies. And when you start looking at their org structure, you would always find that in every mobility segment, there is the trading business, there is the servicing business, and there is the financing business.
Correct.
And that's the triangle. That's the triangle of fear inside a mobility business, because once you have that, this is when you have defensibility.
Correct.
Technology becomes the 4th pillar, because technology can accelerate every single one of them and make it more efficient and make it more profitable. But that is the core for us. And this is And this is the kind of infrastructure that we've been able to build so far. So now we have the trading business, which is Sylndr. This is what the consumers see. We have Al-Ajans, which is actually a dealer platform.
Yeah.
So dealers buy. No, actually, beside the service, Al-Ajans is also a platform where the dealer can buy cars from us and get cars on consignment from us. So that's the trade aspect. And then we have the servicing, which is Sylndr Plus, and now we can service cars and all of that. And then we have Swift, which is our financing platform. And by integrating all of those together, this is where you can start building products that are built on top of these three businesses. Because let's take, for example, a rental business. When you want to start a rental business, you would want to first buy the car, service the car, finance it, and then sell it, rent it to a customer. And in the middle, you want to service that car. If you look at what are the key building blocks behind that, it's trade, which we have, servicing, which we have, and financing, which we have. So once you have that, you can start building that product. If you look at car subscription, it would be exactly the same. If you would look at lease, it would be exactly the same. So once you have that kind of integration, this is where sky's the limit in the sense of what kind of products that you're trying to build, whether it's a consumer product, whether it's an enterprise product, whether it's a product for the dealers, you can really build across.
And you can scale.
And you can scale 100%.
And you know, that's what a lot of people don't understand when they see the attraction some of us capital providers have for businesses like yours, because once they miss to see the tripods, even pre-technology, they don't understand how you can scale this. Most importantly, whether you're doing a used car or a new car, it's fundamentally a hedged currency asset that you have, because you're basically buying a car that you basically maturity is what is at play. But fundamentally, the mechanics you have allow you to recover each piece of the value, irrespective of what's happening in the local economy in terms of macro.
100%.
And that's what I think really makes this even more exciting for us, is to see in the largest Arab market, North African market, with over 100 million people, if you can do it here, fundamentally every other GCC country is a much smaller economy. So it should be an easier exercise to execute. Is it a fair assessment or something you have in your head?
I think yes, although specifically on used cars, I think it's a very cultural,
Each market treats that differently.
Yeah. I've went to Saudi, looked at the market in Saudi. It's a completely different market than Egypt. It's the way it's structured, the dynamics of the market, how consumers look at cars, how dealers work. It's a very Saudi.
So the cut and paste in GCC might not be as seamless.
No, it's not as seamless, definitely. Also, the other part, which is in a side good and another side bad, is that one, Egypt has been fluctuating from a investment appetite. This business requires a lot of capital, which means, although we're definitely going to see a competition, but it will take time, because no one really has the affordability to kind of invest that kind of money to build a similar business today. If I were in Saudi, it would have been a completely different discussion, because I would find 5-10 competitors able to raise money the second day and build that kind of business. So, and also the tripod gives you your moat, gives you your defensibility. And this is why I was actually having this discussion with one of our investors a few months back, when we were discussing whether we should explore another market, venture into the GCC. And I was like, yes, if I'm going to visit the GCC, it might be from a financing standpoint. But I know that if I'm in the GCC with only a financing product, I'll always be afraid from the player who's going to come in with the financing, servicing, and trade, because I know that this guy would have a stronger moat than us. And this is why in Egypt it makes me more comfortable, knowing that we've built that kind of infrastructure. We have that kind of strategic advantage. We just need to focus. This is a big market, as you said.
It's the biggest one.
Scale it. The more you make cars affordable, the more the market becomes bigger. And that's the core focus.
Fantastic, fantastic. How about your view with regards to the phase that whether it's MENA or Africa, of dry market? Obviously didn't affect you as much since you are continuing to raise, but how do you see the near future in terms of capital being scarce, you getting a chance to stand out from the crowd, and basically the ongoing acquisition and M&A wave that's happening? Given your tripod, do you foresee a future where it's been so far organic growth, but external growth might show up in your trajectory?
100%. I think from a funding standpoint, I think for Africa in general, I've definitely the region has seen significant development in the last few years. We're now seeing more investors coming into the region. More investors are seeing how big of a potential Africa is, and that's availing more capital and more liquidity. I think we're still far away from where we should be, and I think that requires significant education from our side as African, that we need to do to educate global investors of the opportunity here, because there's a big opportunity. We also need to understand the investor's perspective about what makes a market investable or not. Because that is something from my own perspective I think it's missing. Because let me give an example on Egypt. If you look at, and for me actually this is one of the core reasons why Egypt is finding it a bit difficult to attract solid capital, and at the same time what we need to do as ecosystem in order to provide that kind of environment to investors. If you look at the EGX 30, 50, 100, the penetration or the availability of tech-based companies is almost none. I think there is Oli Founder, and there is this e-finance. These are and now you can see Value, which is a mix of fintech or financing business. In order to get investors in, you need to have the product. So when we don't have the attractiveness of the product, you're not going to have investors coming in. Because if you look at the global market, now you have AI funds, you have health tech funds, you have deep tech funds, and there is significant liquidity in the globe that is becoming available for that. How are you going to attract these funds to come into Egypt when you only have three
fast growth
tech
businesses?
So, and that's the ropes, and for me this is where the government and the ecosystems need to jump in, because they need to understand, if you treat startups and early stage companies as a baby that you would want to see and grow and develop, you need to think of it as leaders inside the country. You need to support these companies, because the more you allow them and give them chances to grow, you create future liquidity coming in, because these are the type of industries that investors would want to come in to invest in. So that's one on investment and capital and all of that. From a I wouldn't say from an exit standpoint, but from an evolution standpoint, definitely I see inorganic investment, being it a merger, acquisition, all that definitely becomes something in the future. We're really, for our stage, I think we have other problems and other challenges that are in place now that we need to focus on and solve before thinking of how we're going to expand inorganically. But definitely, if the opportunity comes in, we should think about it. We should see how it goes. But I think we have a lot of room for organic growth before contemplating a different growth opportunity rather than growing organically.
Super. In terms of Omar, what are you running away from and what do you run towards?
I think it's very difficult, given my role, to run away from anything. So honestly, I think my personality and my mindset has shifted significantly in the last 4 or 5 years. I'm definitely trying to run away from distractions. I'm really trying to be always focused on, because I'll tell you, a lot of people would say that I don't have a work-life balance, because people's perspective of work-life balance is that you work hard, you party hard. That's not my perspective of it. I work on average 12 to 14 hours per day. I work when I'm asleep, so I can relate to the NVIDIA owner and founder when he said that, because when there are tough times in work, and tough times actually happens a lot, I sometimes wake up at 2:30 in the morning with a solution to a problem.
Yeah.
And that you would be surprised how is it my brain was actually solving that problem when I was asleep, and just I wake up on a solution. So how to balance that is that giving my daughter boxed time on the calendar every single day to make sure that this is actually a very spiritual and emotional balance for me. And that's something. This is why I said fatherhood is becoming something of interest. Is that it made me realize that she gives me more emotional stability rather than I give her support. And then your health. So I'm not the fittest guy, but I don't let 2 to 3 days pass without having a morning workout.
Fantastic.
Yeah, so every single day, I'm an early riser. I wake up in the morning, do my workout. It's not for the sake of anything but health, and it's the best, let's say, depression avoiding solution. And that's really important when you're doing a high stress.
And even for the mental part.
Yeah. That's something that I'm now really taking care of. So for me, again, I just try to run away from distractions. I like to run through problems right away. So whenever there's a challenge, I need to jump in the middle, solve.
Like the buffalo.
Yeah.
The buffalo heads towards the crisis.
Yeah.
When you were talking, it made me think of a quote of one of my favorite thinkers and also tech investors that you know, called Naval Ravikant. So one of his quotes is, inspiration is perishable. Act on it immediately. So when you're talking about when you wake up in the middle of the night and the pending problem that was seeking for a solution, and that your eyes open and it's there and it's been solved during your dream, and you jump into your iPad or your phone and you're like, now.
Yeah.
And that's fundamental. A lot of people struggle with the concept of work-life balance, but they fail to see what you were saying, that when you are focused and when you have found a purpose,
life becomes work, and work becomes life.
Because basically, a lot of people don't think about the semantic of words. So if you want to attract success, you need to understand of what's the absolute opposite of the term attraction. And the opposite of attraction is distraction. It's called entertainment.
Yeah.
A lot of people party hard. They fail to understand whether you are permanently in your Instagram or partying, you are fundamentally zeroing yourself towards distraction.
Yeah.
And permanently away from attraction. So there's a somewhat of a correlation about people that are successful and people that are successless. But it's all in plain sight.
Yeah.
Just that we just kind of camouflage life with a lot of terms that are off. But entertainment sounds very sexy, but it has some issues.
Yeah.
It's good to see that focus and that clarity. The question I'd be curious to hear your thought is, you obviously have been, through your career, whether it's EFG Hermes, the central bank, the previous tech company you worked in, been influenced heavily. Now, in terms of person that has influenced you the most, and book or movie, one for each.
I think from books, I think in the past 1 year and a half, 2 years, I would say there are 3 books, the 4th I'm reading now, that are really inspired me and made me think of things from a different perspective. So one, I think, the biography of Steve Jobs.
Mm-hmm. Absolute.
Same thing goes to Elon Musk's
Thank you.
biography.
Mm-hmm.
Because sort of getting the chance of understanding creative thinkers and people who actually shifted the globe from product perspective, how they think, how they lived, how they approach everything, how their leadership approach was, and all of that. It was something that of a great eye opener. I think the 3rd book is a book called Outlive, by Peter Attia.
Peter,
Yeah.
a great book.
Yeah, and this is one of the books that really has shifted my mentality, my thought on a lot of things. And when I say working out, I do the same exact routine that Peter mentioned, which is strength, VO2 max, tempo, stability, and I'm putting all of that together, taking more than 12 to 14 supplements every single day. So that's
beautiful.
That was one. And then the 4th one that I'm reading now is a book called Traction. I think the writer is called Gino something, and it's discussing. It's talking about a framework called EOS, which is an entrepreneurial operating system. Because I think this is one of the very most important aspects of building a business, is understanding the operating system that you're building inside the company, because that's the most missed treasure, that you really don't understand how impactful and how solid and how important it is for a business success. Because working in the central bank or in EFG or in the IMF or in Merrill Lynch, there was an embedded operating system on how people communicate, how people collaborate, how decisions are being made, how action items are being taken, how processes are documented.
Institutionalization,
Exactly.
culture.
Exactly, because you really don't see that when you're young in your career and you jump into a business, because you will somehow think that all of that has been working magically on its own. But when you get out and you start to build a business, you would see that this is core. If you're not building your operating system, nothing is going to work by its magic, and it's one of the most difficult things to do.
And
So
in place.
Yeah, so this book is really good because he's giving a perspective on how to build that kind of ecosystem, operating system, and what are the aspects and the components of it and all of that. So,
Okay, so definitely I'm going to add it to my list, and we're going to put it on the show notes. If you had to capture and learn instantly a new skill, what would it be? One sentence.
Coding.
Coding.
Yeah.
Even with AI being around.
It's a good question. Look, I think yes, because honestly, although definitely AI is taking a lot of time, or it helped a lot in the productivity of software engineers, all of that. But I always liked math. I'm really Excel is my comfort zone. So
VLOOKUP man.
And whenever I talk to software engineers, I can always think in the same way because I always think they function in the same manner. So it has always been easier for me to talk to them. But definitely, if I had the chance to understand coding more, I think it would have given me a different perspective of how I can even help and support more, because it's an area where I wouldn't understand.
Beautiful. Yeah. What's the best compliment you've heard about Sylndr? Obviously, the company has changed the country. It has become into the heart of people. But try to think back of the best compliment you've heard from a user, a customer, and what were those words?
The compliment that I always get, surprisingly, is primarily from females. People who sold their car to Sylndr. I would always get the feedback. Even I recall in New Giza, I was sitting in a day in a cafe, and then there was a very nice lady who came in and said, "Omar, you work in Sylndr?" I said, "Yes." She said, "I sold my car to Sylndr. It was a great experience. Everything was seamless. You have a great team." Same thing. I think same thing happened
right now. Just before our previous guest.
So that's really something that I'm really proud of, is that how we as a team work together to provide that kind of experience to customers that really helped them in a way and made their life a bit easier. So that's really one of the things that I really enjoy.
Beautiful. It's good to get that confirmation from you, because we say at work that the common denominator in all the companies we invested directly is that they deliver jaw-dropping customer experience. Because once you get that, it's very difficult for you to not be on a moat on your P&L. Then, your balance sheet can be a set of other issues. You can have accident on the cash flow side. But if your P&L has created a moat, you are good. In a departing words, what is something people don't know about your company? And then last, what's the nicest thing someone has done for you?
Something that people don't know about the company, I think, to be completely honest, people don't realize how operationally complex the business is. It's not that people need to know that, or people know that, but I never thought that it would be that complex or that difficult getting into mobility from an on-ground operational standpoint, especially in Egypt. A lot of moving parts, a lot of you have customers that so acquiring a car, inspecting a car, pricing a car, and then doing the car ownership for the car, making sure the documentation is good, and then taking the car from the customer's place to the warehouse, gets in the refurbishment center, spare part sourcing, quality of inspection, quality of refurbishment, the quality of the paint, the car is in good shape, passes to the quality team, confirms, studio, imaging, 360, imperfection, you need to make sure that everything is good, cars becomes on the website, experience online, customer comes to the showroom, everything is good, everything is neat, he wants his car now, you're going to finance it. The operation is intense. So it's definitely something that
people don't know.
That people don't know. That it's not as easy as you buy cars. It's something that is.
How about the nicest thing someone has done for you?
Yeah, nicest thing someone actually did it to me. I wouldn't say. I think I was really blessed by a lot of people in my career who were actually supportive in helping me maneuver and take the right decision. I think even, for example, when moving out of investment banking, leaving EFG and going to do a startup, a lot of my managers at that point in time, the first thing that you would assume is that when you say that you're leaving a company and you're a good employee, people would want to retain you, keep you, because that's in their best interest. But in reality, I've been blessed to work with people who would give me the best advice that would help me and help my career development, regardless whether this is going to impact their career or their daily work or not. So I think being surrounded by these people is important.
Selfless people.
Yeah. I always try to do my best to do that as well, because I think that's the most important deed that you can give, is that you make sure that you give the right advice You care about people's career. You want to make sure that they're taking the right decision. You've seen things across your life. You've learned things across your professional career. You have more experience. Then you have to pass it whenever you see someone young taking a career decision, focusing on certain aspect of his career. When you see something that is not right, make sure that give him, look, I don't want anything. We're happy to go. I just want to make sure that I'm giving you the right career advice, because you need to know that, because someone needs to tell you that, unless you would be making a wrong decision from my own perspective.
Beautiful.
So, yeah.
And how do you feel about being in the Valley?
It's really nice. It's really, really, really enjoyable. Yeah.
What, outside of this podcast, what is one or two podcasts that you listen to religiously?
Honestly, I'm not a podcast guy, to be completely honest, because I was diagnosed with ADHD 2 years ago. So it becomes...
Just 2 years ago. So welcome to the world of one. I've been for 20 years.
Okay.
No, At least I've known for 20 years.
No, I haven't
known. It's been
known.
the whole life.
I haven't known, because my family would always say that this is, Omar cannot focus, Omar cannot that. It was as if focus was a gift that you get as a kid. But I discovered that 2 years ago. So listening to something or actually hearing something while driving, it becomes very difficult. It's not...
You will actually... So it's fair to, but I will discuss outside. So if you ADHD, actually audiobooks, podcasts are actually a solution to a lot of your problem. Because if you attention deficiency is a challenge, reading for a long time is difficult, because you need to take some breaks after a while.
Yeah.
While when you are working out, driving, and listening, it becomes like you're having a conversation with people. So it can be ADHD, but you can listen to.
I don't drive, so actually my 30 minutes of reading becomes in the car, not driving. So that's the good part of me, but it was significantly problem for me to drive and listen to a podcast or audiobook.
So now,
that's now I have my 30 minutes in the morning in the car. I'm reading my book, so that's my good reading time.
Beautiful. Well, Omar, it's been a pleasure.
Thank you.
Honored to have you.
Same here. Thank you very much.
And only waiting for the future.
I hope so.
Hey, if you like today's story, press like, leave a comment, subscribe, come back for more stories from founders and funders changing the face of sports, tech, entertainment, and fashion from Africa to the rest of the world. We look forward to seeing you again soon.